Hi, this is Dana with Dana Digital Tutorials, helping you master tech to simplify your creative journey. And in today's video, I'm going to go over the most popular file formats, the best saving practices for each of those file formats, and when you should use which file format. So let's go ahead and get started. I have an image here that I have downloaded from My Designs. If you're interested in learning how I create images in My Designs and my process, my next video is going to go through that. It is downloaded as a PNG and it is a locked file. When you download from My Designs, it will be a locked file. If you download from Kittl, it's typically unlocked. Midjourney is typically locked. But if you want to create a transparent background, you will have to unlock your layer. I do have a video going through the entire process of creating a transparent background, and I will be here soon making another updated one because Photoshop has improved and updated some of their options. But we're going to unlock it, and we're just going to go through the basics of putting our dog on a transparent background. So I'm going to invert my selection and I'm just going to delete that background right here. And now my dog is isolated and he is on a transparent background. But if I save this file as a JPEG, I'm going to lose that. And before I start saving, I'm going to show you a little tip to make saving a little bit easier. If you go up to Photoshop, Settings, and File Handling, and you check this Enable Legacy Save As, you will have less steps when you want to save from one kind of file to another. That is what I use. And now when I do Command Shift S or Control Shift S on a PC, you'll see I have all my file options in here. If you don't do that, then you'll have to do File Save as a Copy, or when you do Save As, you'll have to click Save as a Copy. I like to use the shortcut keys, so for me, it was better to turn it back to the legacy. So if we save this as a JPEG, it is going to flatten this file and it's going to create a white background. So let's go ahead and do JPEG test and let's hit save. We're going to get these options here and it is going to ask us what quality we want. And I could choose my background color because it was a clear background. You see, I can make these the foreground color, the background color, or any one of these colors here, or I can choose a custom color. What I can't do is choose a transparent background. Even if I say none, it is going to give me a white background. You can make this number anywhere from 0 to 12. I typically want to be at 12 or higher. When you start going down, you do have a smaller file, but you will lose the clarity in your file. So let's go ahead and save this as a 10. And then let's go ahead and save this as a 1. Again, I want to be a JPEG, and I'm just going to call this JPEG test. Let's put that dash in there, test dash low. And we will save, and I'm going to make this a 1. And now let's go open those files. You'll notice I still have this image here. It's still named a PNG, and that is because it is not flattened. It kept this image as is. So I'm going to hit Command Open or Control Open, and let's go ahead and open both of these files. So this is my low quality, and then this one is my high quality. Let's copy this image and put it over, and let's compare the two. So you can see here that difference in the quality when you change it from 10 to 1. Even though you are saving file size, it is not going to be a good deliverable image. The other thing to know about JPEGs is they are what we call a lossy file, and that means the more you open it, the more you use it, and the more you compress it, which was those numbers 1 through 12, the more data you are going to lose. So typically I stay away from this file type for a customer unless they really request a JPEG. So I'm going to close both of those, and I'm going to go back to this one. Now, if I undo this, and instead of creating deleting that background, I just copy my dog, and actually I did it backwards. Let me undo that and copy just the dog. I now have 2 layers here. If I save this as a JPEG, it's going to do the same exact thing as before, and it's going to flatten all of these layers. If you have visible layers, it's going to show those in the final image. If you have layers that are not visible, it will be like they never existed. If I save this as a PNG, I'm going to have the same thing. It is going to flatten this. So if I do Command or Control S and I do PNG-test, we have layered files here, so it's wanting me to save it as a PSD to maintain those layers. But if I change this instead and I tell it to save as a PNG file, it's going to have as a copy. I cannot uncheck it, and I'm going to hit save. Here you have large file size, which is the fastest saving. If you want to, you can go to this medium and this smaller file size. I don't see a ton of difference in my file size, and I am impatient, so I just stick with the fastest saving, and I hit OK. And now we're going to go ahead and open that file and look at it. So you'll see, because I had more than one layer, it already flattened it and it locked the layer. So I have lost that transparency that I had created. So let's close that. Now, if I hide this and I save it, I would maintain my transparency. Or if I delete it and then I save it, I would maintain my transparency. So if you're trying to deliver an image that has a transparent background, you're going to want to use a PNG. This is also what we call a lossless file. So even when you save it in that smaller size, it is still going to have the same quality. It just is going to take a while to save. If you start to work on an image with a lot of layers and you either want to be able to go back and change parts of those layers, maybe you have text written over the dog that says his name and you're doing custom images, of PSD is definitely the way you want to save, so you can go back and make those changes and delete that name and put a new name in. But when you deliver it to the customer, go ahead and flatten their file and save it with a custom name. So if we're going to go ahead and we're going to go in and look at some of the other file types that you may have questions about. So this Photoshop is the one I was talking about. If you have a bunch of layers and you want to maintain them, you'll save a copy here. You're not typically going to deliver that to a customer. If you do what I have done, which is compete, and I've created very large files, when I go to save after a long time, it comes back and it'll say this file is too big, which I believe is over 2 meg, and it must save as a large document format. That's a PSB. These are all older file types. I don't really use any of these. You may or may not be able to save as a PDF in here. I'm not sure if you don't have a subscription to Adobe Acrobat Pro if you're able to do that. RAW is typically something that you would use in very high competition. Typically, I am photographing in RAW. I like to say it's like baking cookies with your own custom ingredients instead of buying cookies in the store that are already cooked. When I photograph in RAW, I can change a lot of the settings way more than I can in just a standard file that we're typically working with. The only other file type that I think that would matter to you is you do have two more. You do have TIFF, which is also a lossless file, but it is a very large file, and unless a customer is requesting a TIFF, just stay away from it. And this is another one you've probably seen, especially if you download your listing images from Etsy. You'll notice that they are in this file format. This file format was created by Google, and it saves, I believe, as much as 27% of the storage without losing file quality. Customers aren't used to this file type. It is a little harder to work with, so just stay away from that as well. So I hope that this video really helps you understand file formats and how to save. The only other thing that I did want to tell you is one thing I've noticed is, let's say you've got a bunch of layers, which I just created, and you have text and you have this and you have that and all these different layers, and you save as a PNG. Of course, it's going to flatten them all into one for everything that's visible. However, that file will actually be even larger than if you select all of these and you flatten these, or you do not flatten, that's not the right word. You're going to go to Layer, Merge Layers, or Merge Visible. Typically, you're going to do Merge Layers. You'll see when I click Merge Layers, it stays unlocked and it doesn't become the background. If I come up here instead and I do Flatten, I'm going to go right back to my flattened file with my white background. So go ahead and merge all of your layers before saving as a PNG, and that is a quick way to reduce your file size. This is Dana with Dana Digital Tutorials. Have a great day.